Hello, Eric Walczykowski here, CEO of Bespoke Partners and host of Tailored Talent. Today, I am joined again by Alisha Lyndon, founder and CEO of Momentum. Last time, Alisha, we talked about chief marketing officers and their role in private equity. Appreciate you coming back. And today, maybe we can dive into some of the trends you're seeing around CMOs in the first half of 2024.
Really looking forward to it. Great to be back with you, Eric.
Well, I appreciate it. So as we look at 2024, I think one of the themes that we've hit on is this notion of capital efficient growth. And so if I'm looking at a chief marketing officer, what are you seeing around some of the trends that either folks are hiring or strategies that chief marketing officers are implementing in today's environment?
Yeah, sure. There's a couple of things. One is the revenue and forward-looking opportunity. Making sure that expansion is there. There's big focus on growth, and clearly the role that the whole revenue engine is having. So I think revenue is not going to go away anytime soon. I think there are some nuances in that trend. Really looking at revenue as one team, like we discussed on our last episode. Second trend I would see is this real client centricity, this kind of focus on customers. How are they buying? What's important to them? How do we get proactive? And how do we get much more targeted? And much of that trend is really being driven by not just the portcos themselves, but also customers. They're demanding, differentiated insights. They want more senior attention. They want access to information that's going to help support their buying process. So your client centricity will be the second. And then the third is probably around resource allocation. That a lot of organizations are talking about doing more for less. I'm seeing a little bit less of that. I'm still seeing lots and lots of buoyant activity, lots of investment going on, but just in different areas. And by that, I mean there's less speculation, there's less kind of pilots and risk taking and let's go and experiment over here, and more doubling down on 2 or 3 key programs, be that around thought leadership, be that around building more exec to exec programs, placing some big bets that really help the organization to grow. So focus would be the third.
No, absolutely. And I mean, focus makes a lot of sense in this environment. But one of the things I want to hone in on is just this client centricity. And it's fascinating to me. I've done 6 founder transitions, and founder transition number 4, I remember we turned the business around, sold it into a large division, and we wanted to grow, and it sold out. There was about a $350 million division that was flat. And I looked around at the executive team and the lack of interaction that this executive team had with clients. And so one of the first things I mandated right away is everybody needs to get on the road. We need to go out, sit and listen with our clients. But I know that's a big theme for your firm. And so I'm curious for you, when you get engaged around client focus and client centricity, what does that mean? And how do you help teams deliver on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we live and die by a mantra, and our whole thesis and partnership with portcos is this idea of the sharper you focus on clients, the more you'll perform in terms of against the market in good times and in bad. So focusing on clients is going to help you drive stronger performance. And it's, like you touched on, really challenging to do, right? There's a big focus on accounts and customers, but that's quite a transactional behavior. Our view is that you've got to be ready to collaborate. You've got to be ready to roll your sleeves up to establish long-standing relationships with your customers, and they have to be engaged on their terms. You have to be proactive, and it has to be aligned to their own unique set of needs. And so really building an approach that is one that creates the kind of loyalty and trust that we spoke a little bit about on the last episode. I think for a chief marketing officer, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. I was smiling as you were saying, getting the rest of the executive team to go out and meet customers. there's not enough focus on clients generally. I mean, it's very easy to say we're customer focused or we're client focused, but having the organization and certainly the executive level, this in your DNA, that we have to be collaborating with our clients. That's the only thing that matters. Easy to say, and sometimes one exec comes in with that passion, and then as they leave, that passion leaves with them. So really embedding this client approach, infusing it in everything that you do. And I think from a chief marketing officer perspective, something that the best CMOs in the world do is spend time with their clients. That really gives a level of understanding and intimacy, and helps tailor the kinds of marketing strategies, the sorts of prioritization, resource allocation, and ultimately the impact. So I think the more chief marketing officers can spend their time with their clients and having this focus that these are not just kind of one-off transactions, even if you are a SaaS business, thinking and treating your customers as real collaborative partners, as clients, is something that it runs through everything we do, and I'm personally incredibly passionate about.
No, absolutely, and I think we can agree that businesses exist to serve customers, and so what better way to build trust, develop relationships, and frankly, your future business strategy by spending time with clients and doing some true empathetic listening for what they truly need to solve their problems. We talked a little bit about engaging you and Momentum. Just curious, what does a typical engagement look like? Who is hiring you? What are they hiring you for? And what are you doing?
Yeah, sure. So we work with chief marketing officers and chief revenue officers in a couple of different ways, but essentially it's how do they treat their customers and as real clients? How do they treat them as markets of one? So we have a consulting, research, learning, and content set of service lines, capabilities that we bring together around some different solutions. So, for example, some of our clients want to drive a land and expand strategy. We will help design that program in partnership with the senior team. We'll help equip their teams through a learning capability. We'll go all the way through to developing that content that is customer focused. So partnering with our clients in different settings, a lot of it is helping them to accelerate existing growth, making sure that they're opening up new organic growth pathways, and designing programs and strategies that bring them closer to the customer, to ultimately help them drive performance and value creation.
No, fantastic. And as we talked about last time, I think given go-to-market is in almost every value creation plan I've seen in a PE environment, much needed service and partner. As I say, you can't think outside your own box. And so it's always great to have a strategic thought partner that does this all every day as you're building that value creation plan. The other thing I really wanted to hit on today is if I look at the other piece to the macro market environment, I think number one, we talked about is, capital efficient growth. But number two, what we're hearing from all of our private equity firms is this notion of portfolio company bloat. I have too many portfolio companies. I really need to exit, sell some of these companies to get the engine going again. Talk to me about the role of the chief marketing officer in exits or preparing for exits, and potentially how you can help as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the CMO has a big role to play in the preparation for exit, and then also thinking about who that next sponsor is, what shape and size that could take, and there's a few areas really. The first would be around category messaging, reputation, and positioning. That goes straight to value creation, goes straight to multiple. If you can get the clarity of thought in terms of overall proposition, where you're positioned, how that's then packaged, it creates a real opportunity, a real platform to also then think about bolt-ons, to think about other customer segments. So I think there's a big piece that CMOs can do to really make the most of category positioning. The second would be around the organic growth opportunity and the inorganic growth opportunity by really knowing the market. So there's lots of work that chief marketing officers do all the time around ICP, where are these accounts, which accounts are in market, how do we more deeply penetrate other personas in these accounts? And by really getting data driven and thinking about some of the ROI numbers of, where are we today as a marketing team? Where are we collectively as a business? Which aspects of our TAM are we addressing? Which adjacent markets could we be moving into? Where is that potential opportunity? Understanding that dimension is within the wheelhouse of a CMO, and clearly thinking about the strategy that could be expanded thereafter. And then the third and final area would be around the future value creation. So often when, as you know, when you're going through an exit, making sure that you've got a path to the next value event. Thinking about inorganic growth, thinking about the competitive landscape. Marketing provide a fantastic ear into the market, both in terms of understanding competitor moves, competitor geographical footprint, customer segments, getting ahead of innovation that customers are also thinking of to help fuel market mapping, further value creation. So I think the chief marketing officer has a great role to play in those three value creation areas of kind of category positioning, ICP and kind of known market expansion, and then that competitor and customer intel. The other thing that struck me as I was reflecting on our last conversation was that CMOs have a key role to play in also helping the rest of the organization stay on message and stay on point. And quite often as organizations grow, and a lot of private equity-backed businesses grow quickly, that message gets lost, and the CMO has a key role to play in making sure that everybody is singing off the same hymn sheet, and that creates consistency as you're going through a value event and thinking about who your next sponsor is. It means the leadership team are aligned and on message, and it also adds value post-transaction as well. When you think about the customer dynamic, there's real clarity of why an exit happened, and it also helps transition new members of the team in.
No, absolutely. And as I think about it, I've had the opportunity to do over 50 M&A transactions, both on the buy and the sell side. And what I would say about those transactions that I've learned is whether I was buying or selling, value was maximized when the next phase of value creation was clearly thought out and articulated through the process, where that management team really focused on not just, hey, this is what I'm selling you, make of it what you wish, as opposed to, this is what I'm selling you and this is where we can take it together in the future. And I think when I think about the last transaction I did, which was actually selling Bespoke Partners to AEA Growth, my number one thought partner in the positioning of the firm going forward was my chief commercial officer, which I shared with you last time as a CMO by trade. And when I think about, we had created the value creation plan, we knew where we were going as a firm. And so it's such an important role that marketing officer can play in maximizing the value in the next.
Yeah. I think you touched on it right there, going back to our client centricity point of if you can understand your customer needs, your clients' needs, and you can see which needs you're meeting today, which needs you could meet in the future, that also then informs things like your R&D strategy. It informs what acquisitions you make. It really helps paint that picture. And ultimately, the firms that are winning, the firms that are growing and, going through successful transactions like you've done, are firms that are really clear about their customer base, who makes up that base to begin with, but also what does that expansion look like? Because we're no longer talking about broad brush markets. This really comes down to winning, retaining, and growing clients.
Absolutely. Well, Alisha, these last two episodes were very insightful. And to me, what's most exciting about it is I think the CMO is oftentimes one of the most overlooked roles in forming an ELT along the value creation journey. And I think these conversations really brought to light a number of interesting insights as to why this role shouldn't be overlooked, and in fact, invested in significantly to maximize the outcomes as we think about value creation. So Alisha, thank you so much for joining.
Fabulous. Thanks for having me again, Eric. See you soon.
Bye now.